Well, when the schedule was released 5 plus months ago, I don't know, whatever it was. Didn't you think this entire week would be flooded with talk about Sean Payton's return to the Superdome? And by the time the game got here, you'd be sick of it. Turns out the Saints suck so bad and they have so many problems to worry about, and they can't worry about what the hell he's doing. Come to think of it, though, wait a minute. Maybe it's Payton's fault we're in this predicament in the first place. We touched on it yesterday. Now it's time to delve fully into it with Larry Holder as we preview and make our picks for Saints-Broncos on this Thursday night football, as well as take a look at the NFL's top games of the week. And because it is Thursday, Gabe, UBN, and I also will make our best bets. It's a jam-packed Dattitude podcast. We got no more time to waste, so let's get to it. It's coming up next.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, New Orleans? And hello to my friends elsewhere, everywhere, out there, who haven't decided yet if they are going to boo or they're going to cheer for you-know-who tonight. What do you think? Boo or cheer? I don't know. I'm going to be in the press box, so I will have duct tape over my mouth. Most of you already know how I feel. And most of you already know that this is Dattitude, episode number 296. Well, you might not have known the episode. You knew it was Dattitude. And it is presented by Evangel and Securities. It is Thursday. It is October the 17th, 2024. It is game day. It is the only Thursday game day of the year, thank goodness. I hate Thursday games. I don't even like it when somebody else is playing on a Thursday. I think Thursday night football is stupid. Except for Thanksgiving, football on Thursday is dumb. I know Uncle Big Nick likes it because we play every day. We got football every day from now until November the 28th. Who gives a damn? Thursday football usually sucks, and it's usually dumb. Except when you're eating Thanksgiving food, you're eating turkey, and you're falling asleep during game 2 because it's 25-0 in the third quarter. Just saying. That's what kind of mood I'm in today. And I'm Jim Derry. If you haven't figured it out by now, I am your host. It's going to be a cheery, wonderful morning. Whether you're watching on one of our NOLA.com social media channels, boo to you too. Or always listening on demand of the podcast. As always, I thank you for being a part of the Dattitude family. You're like, it's kind of like my family. John Pay says, boo dat, boo dat. You like my headline this morning? Randall, good morning. Welcome. Can't wait to see what we disagree about this morning. So everyone ready for the end of the Saints season tonight? We're going to make our picks today. They lose. It's pretty much the end. Good morning, A-Town. Randall says Mickey Looms is calling for Saints fans to wear all black tonight because he knows it's his funeral. No, he's calling for Saints fans to wear all black. That means you ought to wear white. Just saying. Good morning, John. And I'm glad you're in the Big Easy enjoying it. Look, I'll tell you this. The weather inside the dome may be gloomy with this team that we got to watch, but the weather outside is beautiful. If you're not around New Orleans, and I don't know what it's like wherever you are, but it doesn't get any better than this in New Orleans. I'll just tell you this. I get to wear, whenever I get to actually wear a sweater in October, you ain't kidding, UBN. Duct tape can't hold this mouth, and a rope can. It might get me a rope from New York City. I don't know. Anyway. Kyle Wheel most definitely keeping it positive, brother. Good morning. Good morning, Dylan. Welcome to the show. If you haven't figured it out already, whether this is show number 1 for you, which you probably already turned it off if it is show number 1 for you. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm being realistic here. That's what we do. We're realistic on the show. So if this is the first time you ever put on the show and you started from the beginning, you're probably already gone. But whether this is show number 1 or show number 296, you know how to be a part of the show if you're watching it live. You can type in your comment on YouTube or Facebook. And if you haven't already done so, what is your excuse? I know we still got a lot of Facebook holders on. It's easier to watch on. No, man, we want you to watch on YouTube. That's where all the family lives. Go check us out. Dattitude Pod, ever-growing page. Generally, we do a lot of shorts. I have not this week because it's been crazy. So I apologize for not doing as many shorts as I normally do. The TikTok nation is probably wondering what the hell is going on. I've been swamped. I had last night, I did the annual Dominican Mount Carmel Pink game. And then for those of you that aren't from New Orleans and don't know anything about New Orleans high schools or whatever, those are our two top volleyball programs probably in the state. I don't mean to offend anyone out there. And I have been lucky enough to do the quote unquote pink game at Mount Carmel 4th year in a row. It is an insane. I am not just saying this. It is an insane environment. It is as loud as almost anything I've ever done. And that includes like I'd rival it to the Dome. That's if I don't have these things on, my ears hurt. My brain hurts. I told my colleague last night, my color analyst, Abby Alonso, was sitting literally right next to me, had a headset on. Here's what I'm saying through the microphone in her headset, and she had to do this to hear me. I'm not quiet, folks. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, takes more than duct tape. If you're listening after the fact, you know how to get in touch with me at Jim Derry Jr. on X via email, jderry@theadvocate.com. I have got plenty of emails as of late. Brian Pearson says, if the New Orleans Saints do not win tonight, which I hope they're going to, do I think Dennis Allen is gone? In my honest opinion, no. I think there is about if the Saints win, there's a 0.0% chance he's fired. If they lose by less than 10, there's about a 1% chance he gets fired. And if they lose by more than 10, there's about a 3 to 5% chance he gets fired. Jacques Couret says, cheer Payton. As a fan since the late 70s, I will forever be grateful for the Super Bowl win and more than a decade of great ball where the Saints were feared and reliably won. Charles Schulman, hear the crash. That's the Saints franchise 2024. I don't know. Dylan Smith, Sean Payton left us in shambles. He can kiss it. My Derry air. Get it? Bart Prudhomme. Finally, this day arrives and Dennis Allen gets fired tonight. It ain't happening, Bart. Bart, stop torturing yourself. It ain't happening. Randall says he's not going to lie. Going to enjoy watching Sean bend DA over one step closer to kicking that bum off my team. Dude, I don't know where you're living, what La La Land planet you living on, Randall. You know, you and Big Sean, who I think got mad at me last week, and I haven't seen him in a week. Yeah, I think I pissed him off, but whatever. I mean, I talk to you like you're my boy, you're like my friend, like you're sitting right here. I would talk to you the same way. But the Broncos suck too. Let's keep it a secret. I'm doing my best Joe Biden imitation. The Broncos suck too. UBN, who left their teams worse? Ogeron with LSU or Payton with the Saints? Edo. Definitely Coach O. JJ needs to address something from yesterday's pod. I asked, where have I been wrong? Well, let me see. He said Hayner was going to start with. You keep coming back. That's the best you got? Is that the best you got? You think I'm going to be 100%? Show me one person on the planet who's 100% right, except for my wife. Good luck with that. Barry, making it tough to finish 9-8. Indeed. Every now and then you pop out to show them and stir the pot. Dude, you got to do better than that to stir the pot. saying I was wrong about something, that ain't stirring a pot. Duh. Brian, besides doing your show, besides football and sports, how has my week been and how is my family doing? Well, thanks for asking. I forgot what my family looks like. It's the fall. No, I will say this, honestly. Whenever I don't have a game or I have to do something at night, not that most of you care. Well, obviously one person cares. We always try to have family dinner. Okay. It's usually 6:30-ish. Wife gets home, and I got to say she's a saint. She makes more money than me. She works harder than me. And even though I work hard, she works harder than me. She comes home and more times than not cooks dinner. We sit down as a family and we have dinner together. Other than that, if we didn't do that during football season, I am truly afraid we'd forget what each other looks like. It's not always easy to do that. Larry Holder coming on this morning. Nick Henley, Saints injury list is scary. Glad you brought it up. Larry Holder coming on in a few minutes. Gabe's going to come on with his best bet, maybe before Larry, maybe after. But you brought up the injury list, and I'm glad you did because I typed it up for you. There were 18, count them, 18 players on the Saints injury list. 4 have already been listed as out. You know, you can scratch them off then. We will. Cesar Ruiz, out. Rashid Shaheed, out. Chris Olave, out. Pete Werner, out. Ouch. Derek Carr is doubtful, but you can scratch him off. I mean, he ain't playing. Although, I think it would be funny if DA did just kind of like, I don't know. I think that would be hilarious. If Derek Carr plays tonight, that would be pretty funny. Now, I don't want him to come in and play if he can't. But I'd be shocked if he plays. Also, Taysom Hill is doubtful. Lucas Patrick and Colin Saunders are questionable. I don't know what the hell happened to Colin Saunders. That dude is like a beast one game, and then you don't see him for 3 weeks. I don't know what his deal is. Others who are limited but have no designation for tonight as of yet. They were limited in practice on Wednesday. Peyton Turner, Alvin Kamara, Nathan Shepard, JT Gray, Alante Taylor. That is a long list. So those are your lists. And again, 18 players on the injury list. I'm going to get to it with Larry in just a minute. What is going on? Why are there so many damn players on the injury list? I mean, do you need to read through the lines? Tom and Wendy Burris. I'm not thinking, just a gut feeling. Rattler has a good tonight. Oh, we haven't even talked about the Rat, even with the Broncos dig. I will have my prediction before this show is over. In fact, not only will I have my prediction, it is in my best bets. So I'm not just going to make it because it's Thursday. This game tonight is in my best bets. Timothy Miller is hoping for a win tonight. Saints fan for life. My team standing through the good times and the bad times. Not a fan only when they're winning. Amen. Hooray. Great comment. Comment of the day so far. JJ, Sean Payton brought something to Nola the city never experienced. He should be shown gratitude for that. Be classy. Nope. Thank you for the good times. Nope. Who knows if we'll ever get to experience it again. It ain't just because of him. Before we get to Larry Holder, let's talk about the rest of your life for just a second. That's right. It's all about you and our friends at Evangeline Securities. They have no one on the injured list at Evangeline. Their list ain't 18 players long, and there's nobody on it. Their training staff has an impeccable record. He didn't just go there, did he? Shut his mic off. Of course, Evangeline is a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. It's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt, who are born and bred in New Orleans, Louisiana. They will maximize the value for your business, and they start by scheduling a complimentary valuation. We will go more in depth in this in a little bit. They have offices on Poydras Street and in Lafayette. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. We didn't even talk about, we talked about LSU a little bit yesterday. Maybe we'll talk about them tomorrow on Mono E Friday. All these weird mono, they're these weird days, they're ruining our schedule. It's just weird. Anyway, LSU is still a 2.5-point favorite over the Arkansas Razorbacks. And the Tulane Green Wave have upped their, well, they didn't up them, but Vegas did. They were 21.5-point favorites yesterday. This morning, they are 22-point favorites. Again, we'll probably talk more about them tomorrow. Okay, it is time to bring in Adam. Welcome to the show. Glad you're back. It is time to bring in a man who used to be our Friday friend, and then he came on a Wednesday once, and today's Thursday. I mean, I don't even know if we can call him Friday friend anymore. We'll just call you friend. Just glad you're here, Larry Holder.
Just daily friend. Just pick a day.
Okay, we'll pick Thursday today since you're here. We know you got some things going on coming up soon, so you're going to be making appearances on different days of the week as we go forward the next few weeks. Then hopefully, when the Saints are, after they win 5 in a row and they're 7-4. You can go back to being the maybe that's why the Saints have sucked. Fire Mickey Loomis is here. What's up? He's busy today. He's running the Saints into the ground. All right. That is we've got some interesting commenters. They're from everywhere. What did we have that one show? What country was that?
Oh my gosh. Did someone come in? It wasn't a country, but Abu Dhabi.
No. It was started with an A, but I don't think it was Abu Dhabi. But it was some and Araby. We had Araby.
And Araby, of course.
Michelle Castro, Arreglado, Neesmith, busy cleaning up with Helene and Milton. Prayers to you. Super blessed we got spared. All right. Anybody in that path, we praise them. What has been going on, Larry? I know obviously busy times for an NFL beat writer. We're into week 7. Do you finally feel like you're in your routine? And yes, Larry Holder is my only friend. There's no doubt about it.
I think it's look, NFL routine wise, sure, but it's even the schedule's a little off. You're having like 2 Monday night games in week 7, and they're mixing and matching. And I just feel like too, the league as a whole, I don't think we have a great sense of, is there a great team in the NFL right now?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And so I think that actually it's, you might not want this, but it keeps more fan bases and more intrigue across the league, because I do think even maybe people might think I'm nuts given how the Saints have played the last few weeks, but it's not like the Saints are hopeless.
I agree
that things can't be turned around. I think that's actually something where you're looking across the league too at a lot of teams. A lot of teams are hopeful, say like the Vikings are super hopeful, but also you're seeing teams that should be better and they're not. And then you're looking at someone like Kansas City, and it's the second year in a row where the Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes has started off his worst statistical season 2 years in a row. And this year now he's 5-0 and beating good teams, and he's not playing super great.
No, and yet he's not playing super great, but still you could make an argument, Larry, that he is still carrying that team on his shoulders, even though he's not playing all that great. It just goes to show, well, he's not playing all that great compared to him. I mean, I think a lot of teams,
6 touchdowns and 6 picks are not playing great for anybody. I mean,
I will say this.
That's true.
By the way, let me just try to piss off some Carr haters a little bit more. We said this yesterday. Derek Carr has a better QBR than Patrick Mahomes. It's a fact. Michelle Barbado says the Saints will not win another game. No Carr, and the rest of the team is healthy. I mean, let's get into that. Let's start this whole Saint. We're going to talk about Sean Payton some this morning, but
let me stop you first, because I will compare the Saints to the Chiefs. You know who the Chiefs don't have? Their starting running back. They have their top potential 2 wide receivers. One has not played at all, Hollywood Brown. Another one is out for the year, Rashee Rice. And they figure out a way to win. And they're beating still good teams. So
they have
it
Patrick
can be
Mahomes.
Well, that's Patrick the difference. Mahomes. I've told you this a zillion times about my, it's quarterback or bust. And I'm not a Carr hater, but it's been consistent for as long as you and me have done this show. When Carr has been a New Orleans Saint, I was like, it will only take you so far. It will only take you so far.
They should be 4-1 with Carr as the starting quarterback this year. I'm just saying. I know they're not. And I'm not a shoulda, woulda, coulda guy, but a lot of people are, because people are shoulda, woulda people when it suits them. Okay. When it doesn't suit them, then they say whatever they want to say. But Carr led them to a potential game-winning score in both the Philadelphia game and in the Atlanta game. And in both of those games, the defense let it go. So what kind of different season? What would the whole speech all we'd be talking about right now is injuries. We wouldn't be talking about Dennis Allen and Derek Carr had the defense held up their bargain in those two games that Carr led them to the potential winning scores, and they were 4-2 right now instead of 2-4.
For sure, the Atlanta game. I don't know if the Saints were playing well enough against the Eagles.
I mean, Saquon Barkley's still running down Poydras Street.
Right, and the Eagles, they basically left the Saints in that game. Like they gave them a chance. The Eagles probably should have won that one bigger, but the Atlanta game for sure. And so that's the thing. You would be talking about, all right, can they stave off injuries and stay 500? Instead, we're thinking, oh my gosh, this Denver game might be a loss. They might go 2-5, and then what do you do? I know the schedule softens up, but still, it's a lot of times, and you and me have discussed this, it's when you play a team, it's not what you see at the beginning of the year. And so it's because you could see like a Vikings team and all of a sudden they're good. And other teams are like that around the league this year. So it's like the Saints right now. This is, if there's a good time for Denver to hit the Saints and play them, it's probably right now.
Sean Tucker just passed up Saquon Barkley on Poydras. Like, get out of the turn lane. I'm about to run on I-10. You're messing up traffic. So get out of the way.
There's big holes he can make his way through.
Yeah, it's all kinds of comments this morning. Most of them are blasting Mickey Loomis. Look, I'm not making excuses for anybody. I'm really not, and I'm not making excuses for Mickey. But look, we've seen this coming for a long time now. And again, I don't want to get away from the game itself, and we'll talk about the game. But this has been coming since before Sean Payton left here. Since really before Drew Brees left here. They put all their eggs in a basket. Okay. They put all their eggs in Drew Brees' last couple of years basket. And the problem is they still kick in that can instead of realizing, okay, we put all our eggs in that basket. It didn't happen. They can't let go to the past. And even though they brought in new people, they're still not letting go, because to me, you kind of got to start over, and you have no depth in this team. We knew that coming in if they had any injuries. God forbid the injuries they actually have. Thank you, Ronnie Griffin, saying very true. But you keep kicking that can, and you're going to eventually get yourself in a situation to where you can't overcome things. And it's not, we can sit here and say Dennis Allen sucks. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But we don't even know the answer to it, because there's like it was like a preseason game last Sunday out there.
Well, if you lose your top two receivers, typically depth isn't great. It doesn't matter which.
Right. And your top offensive lineman.
Right. So that's a byproduct of why the Saints looked a bit lost offensively in the second half. And then you're losing defensive players left and right in a game. And then all of a sudden they become Swiss cheese. And so look, you add it all up, and you're right in that they were teetering. Like, it's, you say putting eggs in the basket of Drew Brees, you have to, like, that's.
Oh, I'm not like saying that you did or didn't. I mean, I don't necessarily think that you had to, but I understand why the Saints thought they had to. And I'm not blasting them for that. Just because I disagree with how they handled that, I understand why they did it. So let's get that out there. And I hear where you're coming from. But the problem is, once you get past that point, they weren't preparing for life after Brees and life after Payton. And, we'll get into Sean Payton in a minute, but honestly, he left this team high and dry, in my opinion. I know you're a fan, and your compadre, my friend, Mr. Duncan, is an even bigger fan. But
that's hilarious, because guess what? A long time ago, I was portrayed as the biggest nemesis that Sean Payton had ever had in the history of media. So this is actually hilarious. But no, did he leave the Saints in a bad spot? Yes. I just don't blame him for stepping away from a job. Like there are differences and nuances within like my blanket. I don't blame him for stepping away, but he certainly saw what was on the board and what was coming and says, man, I've worked a long time for this place. Am I really up for even a slight, and well, it's more than slight, a partial rebuild without stability at quarterback?
Then goes to another team that's in a full rebuild, in my opinion. I mean, he went to a team. I mean, maybe he put more stock into Russell Wilson than a lot of other people did, but that was a train wreck. And now his ego is as big as this office that I'm sitting in, and he thinks he's going to rebuild a team by being a quarterback whisperer and turning Bo Nix into Drew Brees. I mean,
he had
a better team when he left here. I'm just saying he had a better team when he left New Orleans than he does now in Denver.
Well, he's basically in the same situation as the Saints were when he did leave, except with a rookie quarterback. Like the defense in Denver is easily the strong suit. It's one of the best defenses in the league. The Saints are really fortunate that Patrick Surtain's not going to play. I mean, and the Chargers actually took advantage of that in the last game. And so you would think maybe the Saints could, and yet they're down to, practice like preseason named wide receivers. And so it's like the Saints, if they're playing Denver and they've got Shaheed and Olave, I bet you even with Rattler as your quarterback, you're probably feeling a lot better because the Broncos are beat up defensively. But
exactly,
they can rush the passer, which of course we know that the Saints offensive line is makeshift. And so like the whole offense outside of Kamara and Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau, it's all makeshift. Like the whole thing seems makeshift. And so it's like, but that's the thing. It's just the draw of when you play a team. And so I feel like 2 weeks ago, I'm sure Saints fans would be like, oh, we'll beat Denver. Now it is far from a guarantee.
Well, I mean, if you look,
it might not even be 50-50.
No. And if you were to look at this line probably 3-4 weeks ago, I think it was like Saints -3.5. Now it's Broncos -2.5. We're going to get to our predictions. The last thing that Larry and I will do before Larry goes off is we will predict the Saints-Broncos game. And P.S. heads up is in my best bet. So I have a strong feel. It's not like usually I say I wouldn't pick this game no matter what. No, this game is in my best bets this week. I have a very strong feeling. Randall says, well, you know what happens when a coach leaves a city team high and dry? The GM rebuilds a team, not hire a career-losing head coach. Randall, hindsight's 20/20, dude. Okay, the Saints were in position, and I'm in the defense. I said this yesterday. I'm not defending Dennis Allen per se. Jeff says worst season since 2005. Maybe come on, man, it's not that bad. I will say this: Dennis Allen was the no-brainer hire. Okay, fans could say, and you and I have talked about this before. They could say whatever they want. But go back in the time machine. There was no way that anyone else other than Dennis Allen was getting hired for this job. And I thought that Dennis Allen actually deserved a chance to become the head coach. Now, whether he should have been fired at the end of last season, we could sit here and debate that till the cows come home. But the way that Sean Payton, and this is why I have a problem with the way Sean Payton left, and I get what people are saying, and boo, cheer, do whatever you want tonight. But this is the problem that I have. It's the way that Sean left so abruptly because the Saints had no inkling whatsoever. If you have any inkling or thinking that you might leave after the season's over, I think that you owe it to your employers. And I'm a loyalty guy, okay? But I think you owe it to your employers to say at some point, even if it's in December, I'm just giving you a heads up, Mickey. Maybe he did. I doubt it seriously. But I'm giving you a heads up, Mickey, that I'm seriously thinking about this being it. It's just between me and you. Don't tell anybody. I'm just letting you know. I think he deserved to do that and didn't, and left this team high and dry. And so that being said, you could sit here and say the Saints should have done an extensive coaching search, but it was Dennis's job. It was DA's job to lose, and he had earned the right. You can, again, hindsight's 20/20. You may hate the man and can't stand him and he ruined your team and blah, blah, blah. But you go back in the time machine. there's no question that he deserved this job.
I agree. That's nothing I haven't said before, and I'll continue. Why would I change my mind? Because you go back at that point in time, he was the no-brainer hire. Like, it was the easiest connection for a head coaching vacancy in that time frame. It was the easiest one to connect, and you can't catch too many people, even locally, nationally, that would have argued against it. Now, of course, the head coaching record is always going to be on your resume, and you're wondering, well, is he head coaching material? But you figured he was away from a dysfunctional organization long enough, and certainly grown as a coach, and the success. Like, great defensive coordinators get interviews and go coach somewhere else. Like all of this happens. Like, it's just, if Dennis Allen were somewhere else and having top defenses, and the Saints interviewed him, would it be the same reaction? I don't know, because he could have been easily the hot candidate. Now he has the head coach, like I said, the head coaching resume that wasn't great, but he would have been, if he was on another team, if he's like with the 49ers, like, he would have been a huge hot candidate.
Right.
I mean, he would have been.
I agree.
But we just know him for so long, and I could see why people would say, "Oh, it's just like Saints, be loyal."
Well, it's 2020. It's hindsight,
right?
It's always hindsight.
This could end up being bad. I mean, it's not, to me. It's not going to finish and end well. So I get it, but at the time, you thought the pieces would have been there to make this thing work.
Look,
and I'm going to say, I'll say it 500 million zillion times. If you got a quarterback, you're better.
Exactly.
Sorry, you don't have one.
And
you don't have a viable one, like a guy who could be a regular.
I can disagree on that. I think they have one, but they can't keep him healthy because the offensive line is literally, and I'm not just talking about right now because they're hurt. I'm talking about before he got hurt. The worst offensive line in football.
But he's not consistently a top 12 guy. He
is consistently a top 12 guy. Stats say that he is.
No,
he finishes in the top 12 every year.
You might not 16. That's not good enough.
He consistently finishes in the top 12 every year. And I think of his 11 seasons, he's been in the top 12, 10 of them. I'm just saying. So to say that he's not consistently in the top 12, I get it. You're with a lot of fans who don't like Derek Carr. I mean, you're not a Spencer Rattler.
I don't dislike him. He's just only going to get you so far.
You're not a rat guy.
But okay, also, let's go hindsight there too. At the time, who was the best quarterback
unquestionably Derek Carr
available for
Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr, but Aaron Rodgers was never coming here.
Well, look at that dumpster. I mean, would you want rather? I don't know.
No,
the best option at that time was definitely, no question about it, draft pick, veteran Derek Carr. It's just the circumstances of the time. I'm sorry, it's just been a bad hand. I don't know. It's what
Michelle says it's easier said than done. Kudos to DA for stepping up to lead that for the opportunity. My point is, and again, I'm going to say it again. And look, I get it. People don't like DA. And should he be fired? Again, I will say this. I was sitting here saying at the end of last year that he should have been fired. But once you decide, okay, if you're the Saints management and you're going forward with him, then that's how you roll through the season. He's not getting fired in the middle of the season, whether you want him to or not. This season will have to turn into a complete dumpster fire. And I'm sorry, but 2-5 is not a dumpster fire. It ain't happening after tonight unless they get embarrassed again like they got last week. But again, going back, I don't want to hear from – we weren't having live shows back 2 years ago when Payton quit. It was the infancy of this podcast, and I was doing audio only. But I guarantee you people weren't all pissed off that they were hiring Dennis Allen back then. Bronny says Derek Carr is serviceable with the right scheme and coaching system. And look, again, he's not Drew Brees. So you can hate Dennis Allen, you can hate Derek Carr, but there are so many more problems. And it's just you're playing a franchise to me that has the same amount of problems.
Gets you 9-8.
Serviceable gets you more than that, depending on who you are. With this great defense that you're supposed to have, Kirk
Cousins is a little more than serviceable, and he's won like one playoff game.
Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. He was horrendous.
That was a historic defense in a different era. Like, that was 2000. That was a different era.
Oh, we can talk about different eras. I mean, the same guy keeps winning the Super Bowl these days, so what does it matter? I mean, honestly. I mean, Jared Goff's not a good quarterback. I know you and I disagree on that. Jared Goff's not a good quarterback, but he keeps leading his teams to either the Super Bowl or NFC Championship game. He's not a good quarterback.
Better than Carr.
No, he's not. He is not better than Carr. He is not better than Carr.
Man, we have got a spicy pod today, my friend.
Yes, we do. All right, look.
Love it.
I want to ask you, okay, let's talk about Sean Payton for a minute. We kind of we're all over the place. Forget about Dennis Allen. Let's stop talking about Dennis Allen for a minute. Sean Payton, do you expect there to be more boos or cheers in the Dome tonight?
Boos.
Really?
If the Saints had a better record, I think they would cheer.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't, and it's like the whole night is set up to say, "Oh, look how cool that era was, and look how bad this one is right now," because you got Drew in the building, Scott Vegeta's the whatever, I don't know what they call him, Mr. Saint Knight, I don't know.
Oh, excuse me, real quick, Ray, I'm not delusional. Stats will back me up on this. Jared Goff has had phenomenal receivers throughout his career. He's a bum. Go ahead. Sorry. I had to do that. I don't usually interrupt you, but I felt the need to do it there.
I saw the comment pop up, and I knew you weren't going to be able to help yourself.
No, I couldn't.
But look, it's all kind of shows, oh, look how great this was. And now you look at the product and the personnel that's going to be playing for the Saints, and you're thinking, oh God, look where this isn't coming back today or tomorrow. And so, but yeah, like if the Saints were 4-2, I bet you Saints fans would be okay. Let's
we're happy. We're just happy.
Yeah, they would just be generally happy, a happier state. So I think there'll be more boos.
Randall, I'm working on it. I will have a call in line at some point. We're gonna get there eventually. It won't be when Larry's on the show though. He can't deal with. I mean, we used to have the call in line back in the day. I don't know if you could deal. This is a whole different crowd, Larry. The people that we got. I love my new Dattitude family. They don't always agree with me.
Man, but get out of here. I can handle callers.
Maybe we'll do it. We'll figure out how to do it. But this is our way.
The best part about that is we can hang up on you.
That's true. But seriously, the Dattitude family has really grown since you've been here over the past couple of weeks, and we have a lot of new regulars and regular commenters in here, and some man, I would have them come sit on a couch and we could watch and have beers together, but I'd be like, man, what did you smoke before you came over here? And that's kind of what it is. All right. Personally, if I were sitting in the stands and not in the press box, I probably wouldn't boo, but you could pick one of these 5 fingers that I would probably use. I'm not going to tell you which one. It might be my thumb. I mean, the thumb's not really a thing. Gabe, is it working today? Nope, it's not working today. All right. Ronnie says he's not even facing players he coached tonight. That's how hurt and or depleted we are. That's true. So probably anyway,
about like 3 or 4.
At least the silly fans won't boo Carr tonight. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. You never know. He's doubtful. It's possible. That would be pretty fun to see. All right. I'm gonna switch topics here. We may finish with Sean Payton. Who knows? But have you ever seen? And you've been doing this a long time. Yes. I've seen a lot of injury lists. I don't know that I've ever seen an injury list get to the point for the Saints of where it is right now. Have you ever seen anyone like this? An injury list? 18. There's 18 players on the injury. And it's not one of these Bill Belichick injury lists where you're putting everybody on there to be a goofball. It's a legitimate 18-player injury list. There are already 4 players listed as out for the game, and Carr is doubtful, so he's not counting. And Taysom's doubtful. We know both of those guys probably aren't playing. So have you ever seen anything like this?
Well, you alluded, and that's what I was going to say. You alluded to like Belichick or someone putting like 20 guys on there. Maybe they're all not legit, and it's gamesmanship to Sean Payton. How long was the list last week? I don't know.
It wasn't this long. I think it was like 11 or 12. This is like it grows every week.
Well, they'll have a mini bye week that they call it, right? But still, you know who the inactives are. You just named them. You got 4 outs and 2 doubtfuls there. So it's who cares? Like, okay, they're hurt. Well, they're all going to play unless they're some of these guys are getting thrown on IR, which could happen. But still,
Well,
it does. I don't know. What am I supposed to? What am I going to do
asking,
about
have
it?
you ever seen anything like this before? I mean, it's to the point. And again, we're going to have a show in the off season talking about the training staff of this team. That's a show for the off season. I don't want to spend time talking about that today. And maybe you want to, maybe you don't want to talk about it. I'll ask you later.
I can't tell you how many times I've been texted over the years by people going after the training staff for years.
Not a coincidence,
years
Larry.
and years.
I'm just saying, if it keeps happening over and over and over again, it's one thing if you just had bad luck and you have a bad season with it. But if it happens over and over and over again, it's got to be something said for it. S. Callie says, Carr gives us the best chance to win. Who dat? Yeah, agreed.
I'm not saying that's not the case. Sure.
Oh yeah. I know you're not saying that. You're not.
Like,
you're not one of these goofballs saying the Rattler, El Savio Rattler.
No,
I mean, no. I know you're not one of those guys. But I literally have friends who think that Rattler is the savior for this franchise and will be starting one day for this team. Like, legitimately, not starting because someone's hurt. The training staff are bums, says Ray. Well, there's one we can agree on. You don't smoke, you don't drink, but we can sit here and talk about that. Eric Kurtz last week looked like the team gave up on Allen. That's another point. I do think that they looked like that. I thought the defense, especially, I mean, the offense did what they had to do. They played as well, I thought, as they could. As soon as Tampa Bay started changing some defensive schemes and started blitzing, I thought Rattler looked like a deer in the headlights. I hope he has figured that out a little bit for this week, because he's definitely going to see some blitzing. And then you got Ronnie Griffin saying Denver will blitz all night. But I thought it wasn't the offense. It was the defense who just, it's not just a missed tackling, Larry. It looked like they didn't even want to be there.
If they are, say, tuning out Dennis Allen, is there ever a night to show that they're tuning out Dennis Allen? Is there ever a better night to do it than it would be tonight to do it?
Yeah.
I think that would be something that they've turned against you. Now, I don't know if that's the case, but if there's a night to do it, that night would be tonight. I'm not encouraging players to do this.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, if that's the mindset of where they are right now and people are thinking that, tonight would be the night to really do it. It would be really similar to the day when the Saints played in Washington and they were going into a bye and they said, "We're done with you, Rob Ryan," and they just quit on him. And
they sure did.
And then they fired him in the bye week.
And you
Dennis
and I knew
Allen
that,
took over.
Yeah. That was during the Black and Gold Today show days, and you and I had talked about it, and I think we both kind of knew that Rob Ryan was going bye-bye after that game. And yeah, I mean, we'll see if they play any differently tonight, but they definitely did not show up, and they didn't really care.
I'm not insinuating that Dennis Allen would be fired after this game, and that's similar. I'm just saying if there's ever a day to point out a quit mode, it would be that this players say, "Why don't we do this in front of Sean Payton, and then we can get Dennis out the door?" That problem is those players could easily be fired and let go too. So that you're playing for your job too.
Yeah, Jeff Harper, I don't agree with you. DA looks like a deer in the headlights every time he gets on the podium. I don't think that's true at all. I actually think that he is, again, not defending the coaching part of it, but I think that he looks like he feels more comfortable every time I see him up there on the podium. So I don't think that's true. I actually think he's not done a horrendous job this season. I don't really know what else you want him to do. He doesn't have half his team. Ovide says they might be protesting about playing 3 games in short time. We'll see. Again, I agree with you tonight. Ronnie, Denver plays 5 down linemen, then Philly, even against the worst, we can't run or pass tonight. Where's Taysom? Taysom's hurt. That's where Taysom is. I want to ask you this one real quick. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because I'm not today. We've done enough rat shows. I see
the comment on there. It's definitely Spencer Rattler. I mean,
you think Rattler's better than Haener?
Oh, the much higher ceiling, higher talent level. I could even just say, I've mentioned this a ton of times over the since they've gotten Rattler. Look, at the Athletic, we had him as a 2nd-round prospect.
I know you.
Haener was a mid-level guy. I don't think it's even a question. Like Rattler.
I do.
Rattler, you do. You think it's a question?
I don't even think. I think it's not a question the other way.
You think they should be playing Jake Haener?
100%.
Wow.
I mean, I watched them both in college. I think Jake Haener's a better quarterback. I really do. Again, this isn't the show for this isn't the Rat Show. We spent enough time on Rat, but I did want to get your opinion because I knew what your opinion was. I just wanted you to say it. It doesn't make it, but here's a bigger opinion. Spencer or Haener? I don't think it matters.
No.
I think they're both backup quarterbacks at best.
It doesn't matter.
So
you're playing them, you're in trouble.
Exactly. Kubiak agrees. I don't know that it's Kubiak. How do we know it's Kubiak? You don't know who it is. Disagree with Larry. Jake is much smarter and much more accurate. Again, my opinion, just because I disagree with Larry, we both agree Rattler's miles ahead of Haener. You haven't watched them both. The only time you've watched them both really is in preseason. Rattler was awful. And I mean, I'm not just saying he was bad in the second half. He was awful in the second half of this past game. Now, it was his first ever NFL game because the preseason doesn't count, but he was awful in the second half of that game. And if you don't think that, you weren't watching.
24.4 passer rating in the second half. That's
about as bad as it gets. Lance says Haener is more accurate than give it credit for. A lot of heart and doesn't get rattled. Pun intended. I'm just saying.
How do we know that?
Exactly. That's my point. All these people that keep saying, and we're going to get to predictions in a little bit. You're a little early, so hold on. We're close. I promise you. I'm just going to say, all these people that say they've seen them both, you have not seen them both.
No.
Unless you've watched like college football game film, which is completely different anyway. You haven't seen them both, and that's my point. My point totally is we don't really know. So we can sit here and give estimates, but don't give me the we have seen them both argument because it doesn't wash. You have not seen them both. You simply haven't.
My opinion is definitely subjective. I feel like
of course,
Rattler has a higher ceiling. I'm not saying accuracy, this, that. I feel like he has a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
And that's
UBN's seen them both because UBN like lives and breathes college football, and I don't need him to tell me. I know he thinks that Haener is better. So anyway, again, let's move on. Jeff says Brady, Breeze, Unitas would look like doo-doo behind this O-line, and that's probably true. Anyway, a little sip before we get into it here. I didn't put these rankings up on there just to like have them for show. I want to actually talk about the game real quick. We're going to get in our prediction at the end, but just as far as the matchup goes for tonight, okay? You talked about what do you expect from Vance Joseph and how this Broncos defense, which is fourth in total yards allowed per game. Now, you talked about it. They're probably going to be without Pat Surtain tonight. Does that change their philosophy at all? Or do you think that Vance Joseph watched the second half of that game tape from last week and say, look, if you blitz Spencer Rattler, he's going to wilt. He's going to fold like a tent. I mean, how do you see that matchup on defense tonight?
Oh, he's definitely seeing the blueprint. I mean, there's no question about that. And even coming into this game, look, the Broncos are one of the better pass pressure teams in the league. They're fourth in pass pressure. They're second in sacks, third in pressures. They're third in quarterback hits. And it's, you always say pressures don't equate to sacks per se. They're fourth in sacks per pressure. So all around, their pass pressure game works. And one thing that is a big aspect, they are, and this is kind of a dorky stat, but it's a key one. They're the best team in the league in splash play per snap. So it's like tackle for loss, pass breakup, this, that, and the other. So not having Surtain actually does hinder that. And I think the Chargers at least showed that. But the Chargers, they still have, Justin Herbert, who's getting healthy. Like, there's a difference there. Their offensive line, they might have the best tackle duo in the league. And that's Joe Alt coming in and being really good as a rookie with Rashawn Slater. Like, it is different. Fuaga has regressed. Like, that's just what it is.
But he hasn't had the help in his defense that he had in the beginning of the season.
True. But I mean his numbers, I could tell you, he's now gone from 0.0 pass pressure percentage to like one of the worst left tackles in the league.
Yeah.
So you've got that coming at you too. So, I feel like that there's definitely a blueprint there, but, conversely, can Bo Nix be had? Sure.
Oh,
It's not like he's been lighting the world on fire. They win games despite him right now.
And Denver's O-line is banged up too as well, Larry, because you're talking about, Mike McGlinchey may or may not come off of IR, their right tackle. Their other tackle, Alex Palczewski, is out. So they could have a game where both their tackles are out again. And if they do, that could make a world of difference. One reason why I kind of like the under in this game, I think it's going to be a low-scoring, ugly kind of Thursday game, because I don't think either offense is going to do a whole lot tonight.
I was joking that to people a couple weeks ago, this might be 6-3. It could be something that brutal. Well, you know what? This is so prime for like a defensive touchdown game, right?
Yeah.
A lost fumble, a pick six.
Yep.
And it could happen either way.
Agreed.
Hey, I don't know. So it could. It's going to
be. They can both have one.
Yeah.
I wonder what the odds on parlaying both teams having defensive touch. Gabe, look at that. Look that up and see if you can find that. The odds on both teams having a defensive touchdowns. I may bet that. Maybe we'll advocate that bet. All right, and you kind of touched on it, Bo Nix. And if you can't see the screen because you're listening to the podcast after the fact, I know this is mostly going to be a live show because we're doing a game preview, and the game, as we sit here and record, the game starts in 7 hours. But the Broncos offense overall 29th, which means they're fourth worst in the NFL against the worst defense. It's hard to believe. All that love for the Saints defense. Oh, the Saints defense is going to save this team. They stink. Okay. And it's not just because whatever. They haven't had nearly the injuries the offense has, and they're still 18th. This defense stinks because they don't give a damn. But will they give a damn tonight because it's a must win? We'll find out, because Denver's offense is terrible. I don't know who their best running back maybe is. I was joking yesterday. Sean Tucker had 150 yards or whatever. Maybe Audric Estime will have 100 yards tonight. Who knows? But, 29th against 32nd goes to your point about what kind of score we might have.
Oh, absolutely. It's something, and I'm sorry, I have a pest control guy who's.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you were going to have a pest.
I might. But yeah, when you look at I feel like this game, it's a toss up, and it's out of like futility. It's not out of because.
All right, don't make your pick yet. We're going to do that in just a second.
I didn't make it. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just telling you. Yeah.
All right. Real quickly, because I know we're running a little bit longer than usual, but I do want to talk about. We're going to come back. Last thing we can do before Larry goes off is we're both going to make our Saints pick. If you want to start putting them in, Larry has a rat problem. You got a rat problem? Doug Thornton, you're late. It's all right.
This is a quarterly service that I'm having.
Okay. Again, we're going to make our Saints pick in less than 5 minutes, I promise, because we're going to run through these like 45 seconds each. But I did want to talk about the best games of the week, and this week is much better than I thought last week stunk, actually. But we got some good matchups this week. These are my 3 favorite games of the week. One of them's actually in my best bets. So I don't want to give my Lions-Vikings prediction yet, but your thoughts, Lions at Vikings. The Lions are getting 1.5 on the road. Sam Darnold, at some point, I think is going to turn back into a pumpkin. It's close to Halloween, but you can't argue how well the Vikings have played thus far.
Yeah, it's and this is some of the quarterback metrics that I follow all year long. It is very stat looking. They look very similar to Russell Wilson, like an inflated passer rating, and then yet his EPA, which is expected points added, he's really middle of the road, and it's like falling. So you're almost thinking like he's holding on, but you could maybe see this go sideways. And so, yeah, I definitely think that it reminds me of, remember a bunch of years ago that when Denver went 6-0 and then they like fell flat on their face.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could certainly become that for the Vikings at some point where the bottom just kind of falls out. So I could tell you, I have all my picks are public, so I'm just going to say it. I picked Detroit straight up. Like, so, yeah, plus 115. It's all on the money line. So I picked Detroit to win.
Gabe, hold off on showing any Saints prediction picks or talking about Saints. We can show them when we talk Saints, which is be about 2 or 3 minutes. By the way, now's the time. If you want to make your prediction and have it shown on the screen, type it in and Gabe will show it when we get to prediction time. Again, this game isn't my best bet, so I don't want to talk too much about it. I don't want to give too much of a spoiler alert, but I will say, like I said last week in my best bets column, and I'll say it again this week, Jared Goff is now 17 of his last 21, has won 17 of his last 21 games indoors. Okay. He stinks outdoors. I mean, he truly stinks. Like, I'm not just exaggerating and saying he stinks. No, he stinks outdoors. He's smelly. He's smelly like the pest control guy. He is really good outdoors, and getting a 1.5 at a team that we expected to win 6 or 7 games before the season. Just saying. I think you know where I'm leaning there. All right. Also, Sunday at noon at the same time. I'm glad the Saints are not playing on Sunday because I can sit back and watch both of these games. At the same time, Gabe Henderson's Houston Texans are visiting Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Speaking of love, I don't think the Packers are getting enough love, Larry Holder, and I don't get it. And this spread is a little weird to me. I get the Texans have been, but they haven't really played a ton of great teams. They did beat the Bills, but +3 at Green Bay. Kind of a strange line to me.
I am going the straight up upset. I'm taking the Texans. I think that look, Green Bay, I feel like they're starting to get their footing, but still defensively, I don't totally trust them. Their pass rush has been pretty rough, especially Rashawn Gary, who's been one of the best pass rushers in the league, and he has really been down this year. And so, Houston, they've got one. Once you kind of get, they can keep Joe Mixon going. I mean, he had a big game last week, and I know Nico Collins is a big loss, but still, I think they can get Diggs and Tank Dell involved, and so I think they can overcome that. And so, this is one I definitely. Was the last pick I made because I was going back and forth, but I'm taking the Texans in an upset straight up.
Real quick, by the way, Ray Bauer, you don't need to show the comment. I thank you for being I know you're fairly new to the Dattitude family. Thank you for being a part of the Dattitude family. But if you think Rattler is better than Carr, then I got some bird seed here. You can drive over to the North Shore in Mandeville. I'll give you some bird seed and you can go feed the pigeons on Sunday because you don't know what you're watching. You ain't watching football. That's for sure. This game, Texans at Packers, I kind of weaseled out in my picks column. Again, my picks column is also public on bet.noah.com. I weaseled out. I picked Green Bay to win the game, but I picked the Texans to cover. That's how close this thing is. I wouldn't bet on this with your money, Larry Holder. This one is so tight.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it either. I would not bet on it because
it's a tough one.
It's a tough. Like I said, there's a reason why I went through all the games and I said, man, I don't know what.
I just think it's gonna be. That's just one I want to watch.
It'd be a good game.
I like to bet. I'm a degenerate, but I'm not betting on that game. I'm just gonna watch and it's gonna be fun. Gabe saying the Texans get Autry back for the first time. Can't wait.
True.
I just look. You and I both picked the Packers to go to the Super Bowl. I don't think we're backing off now. And I need to go and look, but the Packers are something silly. So they got some silly odds to win the division. Now's the time to go bet on that, by the way. I'm not just saying, because I still think the Packers are the best team in that division. I'm not just saying that. I really believe it. I know you and your 15-2 Detroit Lions pick, but Aiden Hutchinson being gone is really going to hurt that team.
It's huge. That
really is going to hurt them.
That is massive. I wouldn't be shocked if Detroit calls trying to go get Chase Young from the Saints if they lose. If the Saints lose tonight, and the Saints go in sell mode, could happen. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Ray says he was talking about Carr better than Goff. Okay, just because I don't agree with you, you don't have to feed the pigeons if you think that. We can agree to disagree if that's what you're talking about. He's definitely not. Spencer Rattler is not better than Carr, but if you think Goff is, that's okay. I don't agree with you, but that's at least a reasonable opinion. All right. And then the last game I want to talk about before we get to our Saints prediction is the marquee game, one of the marquee games of the year. Obviously, it is a rematch of last year's Super Bowl 58. The Kansas City Chiefs are getting a 1.5 at San Francisco, and I don't remember. It's something stupid like 21-8. I don't know. I don't remember the exact number, but Mahomes is ridiculously good when he's an underdog.
It's almost like the Chiefs are due for a loss, and
people keep saying that.
But now, and then the 49ers are kind of okay. They've been kind of meandering around, trying to figure out McCaffrey, and then you got people hurt and this, that, and the other, and outside of McCaffrey. But I do think that that the 49ers are going to win this one. Now if it's February, I wouldn't pick them, but it's October.
Because you don't pick against God in February.
I've
You learned your lesson.
I learned that one. I learned that one the hard way. When I picked the Eagles a couple years ago to win the Super Bowl, and they seemed certainly like they were going to, and then all of a sudden it's like, dude, don't bet against Mahomes in the postseason ever.
Yep. UBN doesn't want you to jinx his 49ers, but it sounds like you just did. Okay, I'll help you out, UBN. One of us has to be wrong. I'm going to pick the Chiefs. You're going to give me points with the Chiefs. I don't care who they're playing. Charles, also known as Kramer, hopes the 49er win. Charles Mangus is our Kramer, or Costanza, but he wanted to be Kramer. Anyway, I think the Chiefs win this game. Mahomes is too good. I don't care who's banged up. I have not been impressed at all. The San Francisco 49ers are not the same San Francisco 49ers we've been seeing. I know they looked good last week, and they've had an extended week as well because they played last Thursday, so they've had kind of a mini bye week. And the Chiefs are coming off of a bye week. You give Andy Reid an extra week too. I'm going to take Andy Reid. I'm going to take the Chiefs. All right. Again, here we go. It's time for our Saints predictions. If you want to show some of the readers, readers. See, I'm still an old school sports writer at heart. Viewers, listeners, whatever you want to call them. The Dattitude family, if you want to show some of their picks before Larry and I get to it here. The Broncos are a 2.5-point favorite. Ray says 17-10 Saints. Lance says 21-17 Saints. Boy, that's high scoring. Michelle, 17-10 Broncos. Y'all are in the ballpark of the right score. There you go. There's a good possible score. 16-9. Tim Leach says Broncos. Adam says Denver 13, Saints 10. Sean says Saints 17, Broncos 13. And Corey says Saints 17 to 9. Corey Terrio. Larry Holder, it is time for you to make your pick of the week. Saints and Broncos. Again, this is in my best bets, but I'm gonna let it out of the bag here. What you got?
I am going 19-16 Broncos.
Okay. Reasoning?
It's going to be an ugly game.
You think 19-16, that's ugly enough?
It's not ugly enough, but somehow the defenses, there might be like some bend not breaks and like field goals and all this jazz. Maybe in like a missed extra point. Like
I could see that
could happen. And so, like I said, I feel like the person who makes I'm like the person who makes most of his mistakes, loses the game or something silly like that. But still, it's just going to be some sort of like small mistake like that. And 19-16 Broncos.
This Charles Mangus, you already showed that one. I thought that's Kramer. I didn't say that. 17-14. He picked Saints to win. Got a couple other ones. I know William picked the Broncos to win 13-0. Oh, man. Michelle Castro, Araglado, Neesmith, 21-14, but she doesn't say who. UBN says 27-13 Broncos. Okay, look, it's way too easy to pick the Broncos here. It just is. Look, as a bettor, this is a game where I look at it and it jumped out at me. Watching the Saints last week, there's no way you can pick the Saints to win. Looks like the team gave up. It's a must win. Sean Payton's coming back to the dome. Sean Payton's so much better than Dennis Allen. Blah, 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 blah. The defense is going to come out, and I think the defense for the Saints will actually play one of their better games of the year. They ain't giving up 460 to the Denver Broncos. And if they do, maybe it is time for Dennis Allen to get fired. I know there are actually people out there who think that they're Saints fans and they want the Saints to lose. Sorry. I see the Saints winning this game. I think Rattler will be okay. he doesn't have that, if he has the deer in the headlight look, you may actually see Jay Kaner in the second half. Michelle says, by the way, 21-14 Broncos. But I think the Saints find a way to win this game, and I agree that it's ugly. And I picked a score that would represent ugly. I got 20-15. You hardly ever see a 15. So I'm going to stick with my pick. Saints find a way to make it happen. There's the Broncos have their own issues. And first of all, there's no way they should be favored coming to the Superdome. That's a ridiculous line.
Maybe Vegas thinks that the Saints are going to lay down.
Maybe
they know. But yeah, it's, oh boy, this was actually a tough one for me to pick too. This was a tough one for me to pick because you could flip the score and it doesn't matter. Like you might not feel great about it. Whoever wins might not even feel great about themselves, but they win the game. Like it's just, it's gonna be a weird game.
You want to talk about weird? You got Peyton against Allen, but you also got the clipboard holder against Clint Kubiak. Pete Carmichael is going to be there. That's enough to make
He's going to be there. He's just
enough to make me pick the Saints too.
Oh no, he's just going to be there.
I think. By the way, maybe the Rattler lovers will be in full force tomorrow on Mono E Friday if he comes in and has a decent night. We'll see. Anyway, all right, Larry Holder. It has been a whole lot of fun. Next week, we're going to have you on Wednesday? I don't know. What is it? What do we say?
Wednesday sounds right, but I don't. Yes. Okay. Sure.
All right. We'll see you on Wednesday. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the game tonight. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You can just watch it.
No, I have to be part of
you have to be on the
live coverage, and Oh yeah. I'm going to be zoomed in, ready to go.
All right. Well, I can't wait to. Either Wednesday we'll be talking about the season's over. DA is the worst coach that has ever walked the face of the earth, or damn it, I wish they would have lost. That's what the fans will be talking about probably on Wednesday.
Rattler for Heisman.
There you go. There you go. See you Wednesday.
See you, buddy.
Larry Holder, everybody. Do we get another chance to have Dattitude? No. We will. If he has to do something more than just the average, though, for me to change the Dattitude. I gave him a chance and he failed. I'm not saying that we'll never have a chance to have Dattitude again. I'm not done yet, Ronnie. Where you going, man? You can't go yet. I don't know. We have been on a long time. I can't be upset if you're gonna leave now. I guess we need to get to best bets. All right, look, before we wrap up the show with our best bets, Gabe Henderson's coming on. UBN and our picks are coming on. And a few more comments from you. We're still rolling the comments. You guys have been great today, by the way. Let's finish up our story about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately owned business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. After their complimentary valuation, say that 10 times fast, of your company, if you decide to proceed, again, you get the complimentary valuation. They tell you what your business likely is worth. Then you make the decision whether you decide to proceed. Native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelton, and the folks at Evangeline can then begin an extensive auction process among established private equity funds from around the world. They will maximize the return process for the founder and his or her family. And they won't pull a hamstring or strain an oblique doing it. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area. None with their dedication and success. They're fully licensed, ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important as the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Does Larry Holder have a podcast or a show that we can watch? No. Larry used to have Duncan Holder, in case those of you don't know or you remember, and you say, oh, yeah, I remember that. And Larry and I have been friends for a long time. He and Dunk both, Jeff Duncan, whenever one of them couldn't be on their own show, they called me. And that's kind of how my whole broadcasting portion of my career started. So I owe a lot to Mr. Holder and Mr. Duncan, even though I don't always agree with them on football-related things. Anyway. All right, time to make picks. I got to go back to I made this slide because I thought Gabe was going to come on before Larry. So I got to go back to our old slide here. So I'm going to have Gabe Henderson's name on it. What's up, Gabe? Sorry.
Nothing.
Sorry
I was
bumped at the end of the
surprised.
show.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm actually kind of glad because I'm on the same wavelength as Larry. He had, I believe, 1916. I had 2016 Broncos in this game.
Oh, well, I got 2015 Saints, so we got pretty close.
There we go. We're all 1 point apart.
Adam, stat prediction for Rattler. That's a great question. Okay, let me come up with something. All right, I'm going to say he is going to be. You can write this down, game. We'll see how close I get. I'm going to say he's.
What you got?
18 of 32 for 218 yards with 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go similar. I'll go 16 of 31.
Okay.
I'm trying to write these down. 16
write
of 31. 220. 1 touchdown, 1 pick.
All right. And by the way, you told me earlier that the odds on both teams to have a defensive touchdown plus 69.
Yep, at FanDuel. You can't parlay them at DraftKings, but FanDuel does allow you to parlay those.
That's incredible. That's basically 70-1. That's a great bet.
Yeah, throw $1 on it.
I will tell everybody, go out there and put $1 on it for both teams to have a defensive score. 70-1. They play this game 70 times. I promise you, one of those times, both teams going to score a defensive touchdown. Merlin Abear. Let's knock Sean Payton off his high horse tonight.
Is he really on a high horse?
How high does the horse have to be a high horse? By the way?
Other than perpetually living in a state of quarterback guru.
On a high horse.
Other than perpetually living in a state of quarterback guru, is he really on a high horse right now after Bo Nix and the way he started the season?
Sean Payton lives on a Sean Payton was born on a damn high horse.
Anyone who calls himself a quarterback guru.
Yeah. Wallace Smith says 17-10 Saints win. By the way, Adam, you're becoming a member of this Dattitude family. You need to go join us on the YouTube page. Even if you just subscribe and watch on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe. You know what?
I gotta mark down Ronnie's prediction as well.
150 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 17 of 30.
About on the same wavelength.
Pretty close. Lance is saying that Rat's gonna run for a tutty.
I could see that.
Maybe. Not saying it's out. Brian S. Steve. Sean Payton is the smartest guy in the room. Just ask him. Good question about that.
Anyone who calls himself a quarterback guru is full of crap and not really a quarterback whisperer.
All right, so you've already picked the Broncos. What is your best bet of the week?
My best bet of the week?
Won last week? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm on a hot streak.
So you've won 3 out of the last 4, right?
I've won 4 out of the last 5, I believe.
4 out of the last 5, okay.
4 out of the last 5, and if Peyton Thorne knew how to, if he wasn't maroon navy colorblind, I'd be 5 of my last 5. But my best bet this week, I've actually alluded to it earlier in the week. I love the under in LSU Arkansas.
Okay.
These teams have combined to hit the under more than 50% this season. Only 2 of the last 10 matchups between the two have gone over 55.5. I think it's going to be same old battle for the Golden Boot. It's going to be an ugly football game between 2 teams that know how to get down and dirty, 2 teams that are good in the trenches. I don't see a way this game gets to 55 points unless LSU blows them out of the water, which based on last offensive performance, I don't know if it happens.
Okay, I'm not gonna neither advocate nor go against you here. UBN was showing me a shirt that he's just bought, and it says "Life's too short to bet unders." That's kind of how I feel about this game. I'd flip a coin. I don't know.
While it is fun to say don't bet unders, sometimes like in this case, it makes sense.
No, I hear you. Okay, well. We'll bring you back tomorrow on Mono E Friday and see how it goes.
Sounds good. And I will say for anyone who wants to bet an under though, my last parting bit of advice is any primetime game that you don't plan on watching, bet the under so you're not missing anything fun.
I like it. Talk to you tomorrow.
Alrighty, sounds good.
Gabe Henderson, everybody. All right, let's get to our best bets. There's a couple more things before I actually talk. I'm showing them all. I'm not going to go one by one, although I do have some comments from Ronnie Griffin. 150 yards passing, 1 TD, 2 interceptions, 17-30. Kramer says Rat's going to be 18-33, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 240 yards. Let's see. Also, that Kamara runs for a touchdown. I don't know if I like Kamara tonight, but it is a good matchup for him. I will say that. I just don't like the way the last couple of weeks he's looked like he doesn't give a damn. That's the problem I have. Corey says 21-35. That's up there. 235, 1 touchdown, 0 picks, and a rushing TD. Corey, if he does that, that would be an excellent night, and I will give him a thumbs up. Nope. No thumbs up. Still not doing it. I don't get it. All right. Ray says 3 touchdowns. Dude, 3 touchdowns for Rattler, 200. He's not going to have 2. I will call you a guru tomorrow. I'm not going to rename the show Dattitude for that. We may at some point. But this dude ain't throwing 3 tutties and passing for 260 yards against the 4th best defense in the NFL. It ain't happening. Jimmy Davis, are you the former governor? You were the governor. You wrote, "You Are My Sunshine, My Only Sunshine." There's my singing for the day. Bring back John Gilliam. You even spell it right. Walt Crawford, Broncos 30, Saints 27. He might, Ray. He might. And I might get a unicorn for Christmas. Possible. I doubt it. All right, now we're going to close out the show today. I'm going to give out our picks of the week. Last week, UBN had a better record than me. He was 3-2, but he had fewer points. I was 2-3, but the good news is I got my 5-point pick right again, and I got my 4-point pick right last week, but I missed the other 3. I had more points. Got 46 for the season. UBN's got 27 for the season. Now, you got to remember, and I told you all this before, if you've been paying attention, I told you that UBN and I, this is when we catch fire, and it's already kind of started, right? Don't look at UBN's overall record. He was 0-5 in week 1. And I think he was like 1-4 in week 2. He's picking it up, folks. He's picking it up. And I went and looked back in my picks in October. The last 2 seasons combined against the spread. I'm not making this up. Week 6 through 9 against the spread with my best bets, I'm 22-8. You don't have to take them if you don't want. I'll give you my reasons in just a minute. Just saying. All right, real quick. I'm going to read you UBN's comments. Couldn't have on the show this morning because I knew with Larry coming on, we'd be running too long. Real quick. Louisville +4 over the U. He says Miami's been playing with fire the last couple of weeks. The horseshoe got to fall out their butts at some point. He thinks it happens here in Louisville. His 4-point pick, Colorado +3 over Zona. I don't like this pick at all. I'm just making this known. I ain't betting on Colorado. Sorry. But he likes it. Prime Times has his boys playing well lately. Travis Hunter should be back. I think they win this outright in Arizona. Arizona has not been playing well. I just don't like it. Purdue +27.5 over Oregon. Oregon off the biggest win in Lanning's career against Ohio State, traveling to Purdue, who's terrible. He says Purdue is not very good. No, they're not very good. They're terrible. I can't pick this one either. But Gabe's shaking his head. He likes it. 27.5. I don't know, man. Now he must really think this one's right. It's funny. He's got his team in the 2-point slot, and I got quote unquote, I guess my team. I mean, let's be realistic. We know who I'm rooting for. I mean, I tell you like it is. I can separate myself. Well, obviously, Uncle Big Nick can too, because he's picking the Chiefs to beat his 49ers. He says, I don't trust the Steiners team in the red zone. That's where they missed McCaffrey. It will come down to whose offense he trusts more to score in the red zone, and he trusts Mahomes to score touchdowns there more than the Niners. Can't say I blame him. I'm definitely on his side in that one. And then his 1 point pick, South Carolina, plus 2.5 against Oklahoma. He says Oklahoma is done. Oh, you know what? I might have done these in the wrong order. I'll have UBN tell me whether I put this might be his 5 point pick and I did him in the wrong order. I'm going to have to ask him. I'll ask him. Anyway, he's got South Carolina plus 2.5 over Oklahoma. He says the Sooners are done. They're dreadful. South Carolina a lot better than he thought they'd be, and he loves them in the spot. I like that pick as well. I like South Carolina this week as well. LaTroy saying Sean Payton is going to kick Captain Doofus Allen's butt. LaTroy, you going to come back tomorrow if he doesn't? I got the Saints. And Uncle Big Nick says I do have the wrong order. So it's reverse. 5 point pick is on the bottom. And so it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go the other way. I'll fix it for next week when I do my scoring. Yeah, it's the wrong order. So he's got Carolina as his number 1 pick of the week. I like that much better than Louisville over the U. I like that order much better. The right order. Randall, another one. Dude, you find me one person on planet Earth who's 100%. Go ahead. Find me one person. I'll wait. Of course, that's what got Big Sean. I think it's when I told him I will wait. He got mad at me. This isn't a feeling pick. The Broncos are as dysfunctional as the Saints. Sean Payton is overrated. I'm going to be nice and just leave it at overrated. What has Sean Payton done with the Broncos that leads you to believe that he's going to lead them back to being the Broncos? What leads you to believe that the Broncos are a good football team? They're not. What leads you to believe that Bo Nix is a good quarterback? He's not. What leads you to believe that the Broncos can run the ball? They can't. What leads you to believe that the Broncos will be able to throw the ball? They won't. Why would anyone think that the Broncos giving 2.5 points here makes no sense? What is Dennis Allen proving that the Saints can do anything? Dude, you can hate till the cows come home, okay? I want to see if I'm right. If I'm wrong, of course, I'll be here tomorrow to tell you I'm wrong. I'll have my crow po boy in the opposite direction and sit here and tell you I was wrong. The Saints are a better football team, even banged up, than the Broncos. Sean Payton is not nearly as good a coach as you think he is. I hate to tell you. That's blasphemy. Don't say that. How many times do I have to say, how many Super Bowls should the Saints have won? How many Super Bowls would the Saints have won if Bill Belichick was their coach? More than one. Just saying. Just saying. I didn't know this. Gabe Henderson typed this one in. Wait, not that. Betting advice. Kamara has never scored on Thursday Night Football. 0 of 7. He's got a ring on his finger. A lot of guys got rings on their fingers. Ring it. Who cares? Got one ring in 16 years. Big deal. You know who else has a ring? Dennis Allen has a ring from that same team because his defense helped the Saints win that game against Indianapolis. Remember this? Tracy Porter? Remember this? Just saying. My other picks, a couple things I want to go over here. Again, Atlanta -3 over the Seattle Seabags. Look, Seattle's not a good football team. Now they're crossing country. I get that they've had a couple extra days rest, but they're crossing the country. I keep telling y'all, you don't want to hear it. Maybe you're not. Maybe your ears have opened up a little bit now that the Saints are 2-4. Atlanta Falcons are a good football team. And the fact that the bettors and the lines makers have not given enough respect to Atlanta yet continues continues to befuddle me. They're finally starting to realize that Tennessee sucks. I've been telling y'all this for 7 weeks. Gabe was shaking his head back in August when I said they might be the worst team in football. As long as they leave Will Levison as quarterback, they stink. And I told y'all the Falcons are only going to get better as the year goes on. The fact that they're only giving 3 to Seattle, give me the birds. I told you my reasons for Saints getting 2.5 against the Broncos. I also kind of alluded to it with Larry. Lions getting 1.5 against the Vikings. Sam Darnold getting close to Halloween, going to turn back into a pumpkin. The Vikings have no business giving 1.5 to the Lions. They just don't. I don't care what their record is. The Lions are a much better team than the Vikings, in my opinion. I love Kevin O'Connell, and I think he's an outstanding coach. And there's no question that no matter what the Vikings do the rest of the year, they have overachieved. But Jared Goff indoors, the Lions know how to beat the Vikings. They're going to do it here. My 4-point pick, the Steelers getting 1.5. Who are the New York Jets to be given a point on the road to the Pittsburgh Steelers? This is an absurd line. It's, at the best, it should be the other way around. We told you last week when we picked Pittsburgh in the same 4-point spot, that daunting schedule that the Steelers are about to go against, they know they need to rack up every win they can rack up before they get to the midway point of the season. Don't think Mike Tomlin doesn't know where his team's at. Mike Tomlin, their defense against Aaron Rodgers and the dysfunctional Jets, getting Devontae Adams isn't going to change them from being dysfunctional. Changing head coaches, that's not going to change anything either. Give me the Steelers getting 1.5. And then this is my pick of the year to date. Of the year, not the week, of the year to date. The Cleveland Browns are getting 6.5 at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. What, Jim Derry? Are you crazy? The Browns stink. Yes, the Browns stink. There's no question the Browns stink. But if you didn't read it in my column, I'll tell you again. As bad as Cleveland has been, remember, they only lost to Philly by 5 last week. My power ratings make this game Cincinnati -1 on the road. The books are jacking this thing up because they know if they made this even -3, that everyone would bet on the Bengals, and then they had this huge liability. Not only have the Browns won 9 of the past 12 games in this series straight up, they have won 6 consecutive games in Cleveland against Cincinnati, which obviously predates Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Zach Taylor. The last time the Bengals won in Cleveland, everybody won in Cleveland because the Browns were 0-16. This line makes no sense whatsoever. Just saying. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. All right, y'all got anything else to say before I go off the air? Jerry's here. You had to do some errands. Well, you can go back and watch it. We had a pretty good show. Ray loves him some golf. You love that I picked golf after I talk bad about him, don't you? I'm just going to, it's a straight up fact. He's won 17 of his last 21 indoors. I don't want a quarterback that can only play indoors, even though majority of games are indoors now. UBM likes all my picks but tonight's. Michael Morrow says he wants to fire Dennis Allen. Dude, man. I am not, you know what I think, and well, maybe you don't know what I think because maybe you haven't been here enough. If you root against your team to lose, let's just say this. I worry about your sanity. Anyone who roots against their team to lose ever, I don't care if you're 2-14. Gabe Henderson can go back, and I'm sure he was rooting against the Texans to lose when they won. Weren't you? Yeah, he was. It's dumb. It's still dumb. You know why? Because rooting for your team to lose don't do squat. Remember those Texans when they were rooting for their team to lose and they won? Just think if they had Bryce Young instead of C.J. Stroud. That's what would have happened. Did it work out that they won that game? Sure did. You don't know what rooting for. The Saints could lose this game tonight. mean, Saints could lose this game tonight. And guess what? They're still not going to fire Dennis Allen. So you can root. First of all, I don't believe that you're actually rooting against your team. It's almost impossible to really root against your team. But if you are, you do realize rooting against your team is not going to get you a damn thing. Brian, you missed most of the show? No problem. That's why you can watch it on demand. You can always watch it on demand. Adam wants to know if I think Kamara will play hard. I have no idea, man. I really don't know. I have no idea. Jerry had to get make some groceries for the game tonight. Had to run errands. Just saying. I mean, I'm not going to go as far to say you're not a real fan. I get why you would root against your team. It just doesn't make any sense. Losing accomplishes nothing. It never accomplishes anything, ever. Losing doesn't get you what you want. I mean, you can just be spiteful and you say, okay, well, if they don't fire him, I hope they lose anyway. And because you're going to be miserable too. This quarterback class, it's not about picking a quarterback. They're not going to do that anyway, probably. They don't know how to do that. Are they going to clean house when the season's over? I doubt it, man. I do think that if they stay on this track, the A's gone, but that doesn't mean they're going to clean house. Excuse me, like y'all want them to. Doesn't work that way. Just doesn't. All right. We're going to leave it at that. You got a game tonight. I got to go get ready for a game. I still got work to do before I go to the game. And it takes me an hour to get there. So we'll be back tomorrow for Mono E Friday. And hopefully that's the last time we got anything but Mono E Monday, at least for a while. The next time the Saints don't play on Sunday after tonight is the Monday before Christmas, when they will travel to the Green Bay Packers and could be completely irrelevant by then. I hope they're not, but it could be. Just remember, my parting comment to you today. Ray Barra, enjoy the game and who dat? Absolutely. Remember this. How quickly things can change in the NFL. Now, they don't usually change from bad to good in a hurry, but they do sometimes. 4 weeks ago, we were sitting here and most of you were flying high. Saints were 2-0. Nobody was saying anything. And I mean nobody. Nobody. Except Big Sean, who's now disappeared because I guess I pissed him off. Seriously, nobody in this channel was talking bad about Derek Carr 4 weeks ago, and nobody was talking bad about Dennis Allen. Not a single person except Big Sean. And even his comments were tempered. So things can change. Will they change with one win? No. But if they beat Sean Payton, don't lie, you're going to take a little extra sense of, even if you hate Dennis Allen, you're going to enjoy it. Charles Manga says, go Saints. Who dat? You're going to enjoy it. Ovide says, have a good evening. Enjoy the game. And go Saints. Who dat? For sure. So, look, this may be the last time. It very well could be. You got to think about how old Sean Payton is. This is the last. I mean, the Broncos won't play again in the Dome unless they change the schedule formula. Go to 18 games and change the schedule formula. This could be the last time the Broncos are in the Dome for 8 years, which means it could be the last time that Sean Payton ever coaches in the Superdome. Let's go kick the crap out of him. Make him remember it. That's how I look at tonight. Let's have fun with it. So is it going to be cheered at, or booed at? Inside, I'm going to be booing that. On the outside, I'm going to be in the press box, but I'm not going to do a damn thing. UBN says he'll be awake at least until halftime. You might be sleeping before then. This game goes the way I think it's going to be. That is going to wrap it up for us on this Thursday. I want to thank Larry. I want to thank Uncle Big Nick. I want to thank Gabe Henderson. And I want to thank you. You guys have been showing up, and you ladies as well have been showing up in droves the past few weeks. The Dattitude family since the past 3-4 weeks has grown immensely. I love that y'all are here. That's what makes us different than the other shows. You may not be able to talk. We'll work on that. We'll see if we can get a call-in line. And other than my friend, the Red Bean Man, who was on show number 200, he's got a great show. He does. I'll give him a plug. I don't know who's going to be on 300. It's a week from tomorrow. I still haven't figured it out. But what we do is different than everybody else. That's what makes this show different. And we don't just show them because, let's see how many comments we can show. No, we care. I do. Even if I don't agree with you. Even if I call you a numbnuts. I love having y'all all on the show, and you make it fun. If you haven't already done so, a reminder to subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live. If you haven't already done so, you're watching on YouTube, give us a like right now. You can also find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to listen after the fact, on the way to the game or whatever, you can find us on Apple. You can find us on Spotify and many more. You can also find a replay of the show, as always, on the World Wide Web at NOLA.com/sports. All the Gabe stuff on bet.nola.com. My picks every week are also on bet.nola.com. Enjoy the game as best you can. Do your best to have fun. Don't worry about it. It's just a game, remember. Boo or cheer, that's up to you. Just don't throw, if you're at home, don't throw anything at the big screen. Those things are expensive. We will see you tomorrow for Mono E Friday. Who dat? Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.